behind and find in the Dales the perfect environment for his skills. Colin Martin is another. Since moving to Ribblesdale, he's found that life can be unbelievably sweet in more ways than one. They may look like pieces of fine porcelain, but these beautiful figures are made from nothing more exotic than sugar. Straight out of the packet, it's poured into a bowl and mixed with water. Doing the mixing is Colin Martin, and if it looks more like cookery than pottery, there's a very good reason. Colin was a top London pastry chef who whisked up sweet delights for rich diners. But his complementary talent for what is known as sugar sculpting led to him setting up his own business in the dining room of his London home. It became known as the School of Sugar. It's not in London, though, but in the heart of the Yorkshire Dales that his skills now flourish. Colin moved his family north and eventually bought this gem of a place in Chapel Dale. How, I wondered, did he find such a perfect location?
Well, we used to be in Ingleton. We used to have a guest house there, and we loved the building. So we knew it because we only lived a few miles away. And this was always the sort of building that we wanted. So we bought it. That was 7 years ago.
So you and your wife, Sabina, run the place as a pub restaurant now?
Yes.
Pub and restaurant?
Yes, yeah. With my daughter and son. Sabina normally runs the kitchen. I do the pastry and I do the sugar. And I just fill in wherever, in the bar or what have you.
Who do you reckon works the harder then? Your wife, Sabina, who produces all the meals and keeps the customers fed, or yourself?
The wife. Wife always works the hardest. She never stops. But now that the kids are starting to take an interest, hopefully they're going to run the kitchen, and I'll probably concentrate more on the sugar.
Do you regard it as a craft, Colin, or have you raised it now to an art form?
I think it's. I personally think it's a craft. But I mean, there are sculptors who actually, who are sort of artists who probably make things out of. I mean, I know there's some in America who actually make things out of foodstuffs. But me, being a pastry chef, I would say it's a craft because it's just part of my job as a pastry chef. So I wouldn't sort of look at it as an art as such.
You're not just a sugar sculptor in your own right, you teach it too. And you've had some of the top chefs and some of the top establishments in the country sending people here, haven't you?
Yes, we've had them, I think, virtually every London hotel. We get them from Scotland, get Turnberry, get all sorts, everywhere. They tend to send somebody each year. We only run them maybe once a month. So, and we only do for very, very small numbers. So, I mean, I might do a class for 2 people.
And you are dealing with people who know the business anyway, presumably qualified pastry chefs. Largely.
Oh, yeah, they're either normally the head pastry chefs or somebody fairly high up.
One might expect creations made out of sugar to be extremely fragile, but properly looked after, they can last a surprisingly long time.
We've got some here 10 years old, so as long as you keep them dry, they could last for, I mean, I don't know, say they're 10 years now. I mean, if you come back in 10 years' time, they might still be here.
How do you get the figures so lifelike, so exquisite?
That's practice. I mean, even when we do the classes, like if we do fruit baskets, I mean, the fruit can be really rough, but it will still look good. But when you do a figure, if the proportions are wrong, straight away, it's just one of those things. You've either got to get it right, you've got to get the movement, or it's wrong altogether.
That's when the artistic side kicks in, isn't it? I mean, it's one thing being a craftsman and being able to work with the material, but to turn it into these beautiful pieces.
Some of the first ones I did, they looked, first horse I did, it looked like something from, prehistoric monster, But at the time I thought it was good. I mean, we have students who do things and they think they're great. And that's the most important thing to me, They go away because they all make their own pieces. I don't do the work for them. And I'd rather they go away, not so good, and then they can go away and practice than if I sit next to them and make it for them. And it makes, it just doesn't work like that.
Well, as we've said, Colin, it's a very delicate, very esoteric skill, craft, call it what you will. And you're doing it here in the middle of the Yorkshire Dales, an area known for being fairly down to earth. I mean, what do local people make of you and what you do?
I love it. Yeah, they think it's great. It's hopefully we'll get the school kids to come and have a look. So it's but they're fascinated. They love it. So
You haven't had any of the local sheep farmers wanting to try their hands, have you?
No, not yet. No. They're more interested in a pint of Theakston's.
Colin Martin and the sculptures that are good enough to eat. And that, I'm afraid, brings us to the end of our upland rambles for another week. We'll be back at the same time next week with some more tales from the Dales. But from me, for now, goodbye.